and the Jiu-Jitsu. Once again, this is every time I look for one that the roots is strong roots. No champion word. Champion word, this is nothing. You need to find the people can have history inside, and the history in the line is strong. And the Marcelo Santos is for the rules for Carson Grace. He's right side. So I have a lot of history, a lot of experience. So he be there in the Rio de Janeiro. He's another friend too. No, I don't know. So you reach for audio.
Audio. I only talk, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, talk to him. He's my good friend too for the side, the Renzo Gracie. So I know any black belt is nice black belt. See, here I have the opportunity to travel there. And I talk to him. Oh, you need to meet this guy. You need to meet this guy. No, this is not my team, but is good professional. He stay in Buenos Aires, training for the Pablo Lucero. So I would like you to talk for your experience. That's your vision there. You understand? In the training there, visit for the master. Okay.
I mean, overall, the trip was great. I might have touched on some of it in our group chat. So he introduced me to Pablo Lucero. I always feel disrespectful saying that. Professor Pablo. So he's been his friend for 32 years, right? I think he's trained him from white belt all the way to black belt, and he runs the school in Argentina. And he always, talks about it like it's one of his best friends, one of his brothers, one of the guys that he relies on and depends most on in this world. He said that guy's been like a right hand to him, and has always been loyal, always been faithful. So obviously, when he introduced me, I didn't know what to expect, but they knew that they had a student of Marcelo's coming over to Argentina. So the guy had my contact information. We messaged. I mean, they were offering to pick me up from the airport. They were offering me to take me around as if I was like a family member. But essentially, I said I'm going to come to train. The very first day I came to train, I mean, I guess they could tell immediately I was the guy from out of town. Everyone just welcomed me as if it was the gym here. Like if you're a first-time guy coming in the gym here, they're like, oh, this is Jonathan. He comes from blah blah blah. He trains with Marcelo the Giudici, because most of the guys haven't had the opportunity to meet him. They just know they train at the gym with his name on it. They had a locker room there. I went in and got changed, and I just jumped into training the same way I would here. They did their drilling. They did the warm-ups. A little bit different than ours, almost similar to what the kids do, where everyone kind of gets in a line, you run around, like they do a little bit of running, they do a little bit of stretching as a team. We did the hip escapes, and then we did, some time with drilling, and then you would break up into rolling. It's very similar to here, the structure. Throughout the training, Professor Pablo, he took a lot of time to stop me and correct me on what I was doing wrong. Like if I was doing this, if I was doing that, if he caught me in positions, I felt like he wanted to make sure that I was getting a good experience and I wasn't just the new guy here being thrown to the wolves. He paired me up with a blue belt guy that's been there for a little while, and it was just like training with one of you guys. Like the guy didn't try to kill me. He would take the time to walk through the techniques, tell me where my position, tell me about the weight, help me correct things, and give me the opportunities to try it, and let me know when I was doing it right and when I was doing it wrong. It helped that I know Spanish, right? Because there I was able to communicate with them, and we were able to, just basically have a regular conversation, so I was able to understand what they were doing. But it was pretty cool. I ended up rolling with like 3 different blue belt guys, kind of got to feel someone different for the first time other than you guys. I'd say a lot of them had that body style like Landon, and I've always been curious to roll with Landon. I hadn't yet, so it was cool going against guys with higher belts, more of my size, weight, and just seeing the motions and the movements. But I did get tapped out once by the other guys, but for everyone else, I felt like I held my own. So I felt confident that the techniques we're learning here, that they work off in the real world, right? I mean, I seen you guys in your competition, any videos that they shared, and just hearing your guys' experience, especially yours, just like these are the things we drilled, and those are the things I was able to kind of fall upon, and these are the things that because we learn them, they kind of become part of our style and part of our techniques as we go through these different situations. So the different things we do, the positions, not jumping into, like if you don't do knee on belly, you don't go to top mount, right? Control and establish your position before you're moving to the next one. All of those things I was able to feel paid off. The control, the aggression, just the style that he kind of instills in us here, I feel like it holds up. Because like I said, I was able to hold up with most of those guys. I did have a couple of guys ask me, like, are you really a white belt? And I said, yes, I'm really a white belt. They're like, well, you don't seem like a white belt. And I took that as a compliment, but not just to me, but just the teacher, the class, and obviously you guys. I always say I look up to a lot of you guys. I feel like a lot of you guys are ahead of me, and I would like for you guys to stay ahead of me. But it lets me know that wherever we go, just if we keep doing what we're doing, I'm confident that we're all going to grow and we're all going to be probably successful. And it really instills how good of a culture we have. And the culture isn't just in this gym. It felt the same exact way in the Argentina gym. So my assumption would be that out of the 13 gyms, if that number is correct in the world, that it's probably going to be a very similar experience to what we're seeing here, and that we are like one bigger family, and we have brothers and sisters and cousins that wear the same patch as we do, that are learning very similar techniques to what we're doing. Pablo was showing them things that I didn't see anything new from the perspective that the technicals and the fundamentals and the positions are the same exact things we're learning here. The escapes, the way that they did them, the way that they were drilling with each other, everything just felt really the same that we do here. So to me, that was really cool. I went back to train with them the second time, and this time there was only like 4 people. So it was 20 people the first night, and then I went to a daytime class, and there was 2 girls training. It was like 2 blue belt girls. It was me and a blue belt guy and the professor. So that time it was kind of cool because it almost became like a private. We did the warm-ups, we did the drilling, and when we broke up into rolling, the guy that I was, there was one guy there, he had just come back after like 2 months of not training because he had like a shoulder surgery. He was involved in an accident. So I basically kind of got like one-on-one time with Professor Pablo. And so he was putting me in positions, he was helping me to correct my techniques, he was showing me where I was and wasn't doing things good. And I mean, he choked me a couple times so that I could tell the mistakes that I was making, but sometimes that's how you learn. And again, it was no different than when he trains with us. Like if you go one-on-one with him, you roll with him, and he's stopping to tell you what are you doing wrong, gives you the opportunity. It was the same way. So at no point was he, trying to hurt me, everything. I mean, I felt like I was learning from him. If I were to close my eyes and would have talked in his version of English, I felt like everything would have been the same. Like very similar style, very similar approach, like just the love and passion that they have for jiu-jitsu and their students. It's an unexplainable feeling, but I know it's something that you guys probably know, and just me trying to say it. So like I felt at home. I would definitely go back again. I think he's gonna try to come out here next year, so I would hope whenever he comes, I'm here and all of you guys are here, just to get to meet the guy yourself. And I'm sure if they get to roll, I think it'd be like a show to watch. Brazil, he introduced me to a guy, Marcelo dos Santos. I don't even know how many stripes does he have. 6, 8 coral belts. 8 stripe coral belt. I was actually just coming. That was the day I got out of my surgery. And when I went there, I told him, I was like, I can't train. I just wanted to come to meet you because you're highly recommended. Our professor talked about you, and the guy got me to train. Like I ended up, I brought my gi. I brought my gi because I wanted to take a picture with him in my gi. Next thing I know, I'm doing the drills, doing this, and it was against. He was different school, different style, but the same respect, like mutual respect for one another. I felt that because I came through him, it's almost like having like a hall pass, or like, oh, you're his guy, all right, I'm gonna take care of you. And just the way that everyone talked about him was like they talked about him like how we would talk about him. It's easy for someone to say, oh, you go to my hometown, they know who I am, like everyone knows me. And like a lot of people say, I'm sure all of us have come across people like that in our lives, but over there everyone knew him, and like the way they talked about him was like he was some superhero action figure, like he was one of the Avengers. Oh my gosh, you don't know this guy? Paha, this guy was in a fight, he did this. Oh, Marcelo Giudici did this. And like just to hear other people talk about him like that, it made me proud, just about who he is, what he stands for, what I thought I knew, the impression I think I have, the way we all view him. It was pretty cool to hear other people talk about him, because they would talk to their students. Oh, you didn't know he did this. Oh, this guy did this. This guy did this. Oh man, this is like it made me excited, like just to come back home. So, like his training was even similar. We did the running, we did the stretching, we got into the drilling. They did some rolling, but the hospitality was just like another level. Part of me wants to say, I don't know if it would have been the same if I was just some guy walking in off the street, but because I came recommended as a student of his, like I felt at home. You know, they're very excited. They're talking to me. They're offering me water. I mean, he spoke Portuguese mostly, so I mean, I didn't understand everything. But when it came to drilling and training, I feel like sometimes you don't need to know the language to understand the positions and what's going on. But you know, as soon as I get in there, they're trying to FaceTime him. We're on a FaceTime together. It was the kids class, right? So like, you know, the other Alex was there. I see the kids, and you see how excited they get off each other and the relationship that they have through jiu-jitsu over the years, through the distance. And like, I felt proud that I felt like I was able to bridge a gap. You know, he wasn't able to be there himself, so I felt like I was able to be the extension of representing him in another country and say, hey, you know, like, that's my coach, that's my professor, he introduced me to you. And so like, I was kind of played like a middleman. And so it's just like, everyone just wanted, like, if I could have gone the next day, I think I was gonna have lunch with one of the Gracies. We were gonna have acai bowls and just hang out. And he was telling us, this is a once in a lifetime thing. If you get the opportunity to meet him, go do it. Take a picture with him, shake his hand. If I didn't get to do it, you know, I wish I could have, but his name had a lot of pull. Like, it was just a very good experience, very good time. You know, this is more than 5 minutes, but after my surgery, I was asking the doctor, what can I do and what can I not do? And when I told him I did jiu-jitsu, you know, we started talking about it, and I told him who my professor was, and he knew him. I said, have you heard of Marcelo Giudici? Right? I didn't, and he's like, Marcelo Giudici? Man, that guy was a champion, he was a this, and I guess the other guy was a brown belt, used to train with a Helson or a Helio Gracie. He showed me like some old school jiu-jitsu handshake, but he knew about him, and he was telling me stories of what he heard about him. And again, like, he's like, you train with him, or are you just at one of his schools? I was like, no, I train with him. And I guess he didn't realize that he was now in California, has a gym in California, but he was excited to know that I'm training from the guy himself. And so I guess I don't think they know each other or anything, but he knew who he was. And there's another guy that he wanted to introduce me to at that school in Ipanema, where it's like, I think it's one of the Gracie schools, it's like Cairo Gracie, or
Yeah.
and I never got to meet the guy, but we were messaging over, and you know, when I told him, I was like, hey, I'm a student of Marcelo Giudici. He's like, you know, Marcelo's my brother. Anything you need, let me know. If you want me to meet you at the gym, I'll meet you at the gym. Come by. I mean, the guy messaged me like 3 times even after I left. Hey, if you want to come see me again today, like, I'd like to meet you. And I mean, we never got to meet, but I feel like maybe me just pulling his name or him introducing me, it opened up a lot of doors to me. And like, everyone just treated me like one of their own. Everyone was excited to kind of hear about him through me. And it was just a very cool experience. You know, I would hope that whether it's us together, you guys as an individuals, if any of you or us go somewhere where he has a gym or someone and you have the opportunity, take him up on it, meet who he wants to introduce you to. If you're able to get a training session in, go to the gym, I would highly recommend it. It's a good way to gauge what are we learning versus how are other people doing, what are the differences, and kind of just like the tournament, like, how do I stack against other people and what they're learning compared to what we're doing. So it was a very amazing experience. I mean, I hope to do it again. I hope we get to do it together at some point as a group somewhere else, and just, you know, seeing how it is. Very thankful for, I mean, Memo, Abby, for what we were doing here, and, you know, obviously the coach and just the students. It's from day one, it's been like a family culture. I think when I signed up, you told me we're all a family. This isn't just our gym, it's your gym, it's everyone's gym. And I feel like that's kind of consistent across the board. So it's a good culture we have here. I feel very happy and proud to be a part of it, and excited to continue to grow with all of you. And just yeah, it was just pretty good. And I think I'll shut up now.
Thank you for sharing. That's awesome.